Okay, for creative warp, that's your second paper weaving. These are both examples of creative warp. And both of these were made by cutting the warp by folding it in half. This one was folded in half this way and lines, and it was cut and it stopped at this line. So both sides were cut at the same time. And then the weft pieces were cut long ways and woven in this direction. This one was also folded in half, and wavy lines were cut here and zigzag lines were cut here. And they stopped here before they got to the end. And so both sides of this look the same. And these guys both chose to weave one color. So you don't have to weave one color. So your weft can be multiple colors, because this could be really cool if it was like red strips, orange, yellow, black. So anyway, these are examples of creatively cut warp. This is also an example of creatively cut warp. And so the line was drawn here, and then these cool designs were cut into it while it was folded in half. So then the warp is cut straight, and that's the orange paper, the strips. This one was cut with an X-Acto knife. So since I couldn't give you guys X-Acto knives, I'm going to show you how to do it with scissors. If you do have an X-Acto knife, just make sure you have some like thicker paper underneath, or like a stack of newspapers, and you can draw your lines and then cut on those. But we're going to do ours with scissors. Let me know if you have an X-Acto knife and I can kind of show you that. Just so you can compare, this is actually a creative weft. So this is the opposite. This is going to be the third one that you do. So you see the warp is cut straight, and then the pieces that are woven in are cut creatively. So that's going to be the third one. You're doing the second one now, which is a creative warp. So what you'll do is you'll choose one piece of paper for your background. So for example, if this is the paper that I choose for my warp, same thing that we did before. Now you could actually do it long ways. So like this one, I'm folding the way this one was folded. I could actually do it this way too. So this one was folded long ways, and then there's a line, you can't see it, but there's a line drawn here, and it was cut from the fold to that line. So you can do it either long ways, like hamburger style, or hot dog long ways. So I'm going to do it this way. You want to make sure you put your line at the open side. So here's the open side. I'm going to put my line. So you guys are creative. So don't make a boring, I mean, anybody could cut like zigzag and just curvy and do it real fast, or you could put some thought into it. So you might want to like pre-draw your lines. They do have to start at the fold and stop at that line. So you couldn't really go off the edge, and you can't cross these lines. So I don't think in the video you can see what I'm doing. So I drew a line here, and that's where I stop. And then I'm drawing some lines that I think would be cool. And I'm not crisscrossing. Now I'm going to go kind of angular to change it up. Okay, so if this was my design, I want to check myself and make sure that I'm cutting from the fold. If I cut the other way, it'll all fall apart. But you can use tape. If you mess up, you can tape it and it'll be fine. So I start at the fold, I cut, and I stop at my line that I drew. So you can do it this way, or you can be even more creative. Not that this isn't, but so this makes your warp to weave into. So I will finish this, but in the meantime, I want to show you, you can do some other things. So if you could even like draw some big shapes on here. Like say I want to do, I'll do it in marker so you can see. Say, I don't even know what shape this is. Okay, say I want to fill these areas with weft. I can cut thin strips and weave those in. So in order to get inside of this, I can fold it. And then, so I have this little area here, and I can cut and stop at that line. I can cut and stop at this line. So even if you don't have like an X-Acto knife, you can still get in here. You just need a little slot. So you can make a little fold so you can get your scissors in, and then make yourself some warp. So you could do that kind of all over. And I could even do them different directions, and then I would have to weave different directions. So if you're feeling super creative and you want to try doing it this way, you can. So you just make a little cut in the middle of your shape, stick your scissors in there, and then cut towards the edges in both directions. So you'd have all these little areas that you can weave into. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this one so I can show you what I'm talking about. Now, if we were at school, you would use a paper cutter to cut your strips. But since we're not, it's up to you to try to cut some nice straight strips. So if you want to get a straight edge and like draw them first, you can. Or if you feel like you're pretty good, they should be about a ½ inch wide, your weft pieces. But try to be creative in what you weave into this. If you have colored paper, that's great. That would be great. But if you don't, and you have like markers or watercolor paint, paint some pieces of paper. If you have Kool-Aid, that makes a good paint. You can just mix a little bit and then paint your paper. You can use coffee grounds. Okay, So here's my warp. And you're going to do it in pencil so that the marker doesn't show up. So you flip it over, and here's all my cool warp. This is what I'm going to weave, and I'm going to weave my tabby weave into this. So I'm going to do every other over, under, just like you did your first one. Okay, so then I'm going to do strips. So I want to pick some colors that would be a cool kind of contrast to the red. So I'm going to do cool colors, I think. So I've got a green, light blue, and like a limey green. So I said like a 1/2 inch, save myself some time. I'm going to cut them all at once. I kind of have different size papers here. But these should be pretty straight. Okay, so then here are my weft pieces that I'm going to weave in. And it's going to be a little bit trickier than you did with your first one, just because you have these weird shapes. But it's still the same method. Just make sure that you're going over one, under one, over one, under one. So here is my first strip. And then you want to pack it in. So you want to push it all the way to the edge. Okay, so next one, I think I'll do this. I'm going to do that or this. No, I'm going to do this one. Okay, so then I'm going to get my lime green, my kind of electric green. I do the opposite of this one. So this one started with under. This one's going to start with over. So I'm going to kind of pick up every other one and weave this in. And so, like I said, it's going to be a little trickier getting it in place, but it'll go there. And if you have some tape, use that for where you got little mishaps. I don't even know what I did here. There. Oh, no, I just tore it. Okay, so that's over, under. It's going to be over. Okay, so then I've got my little torn piece there. Did I do this right? Okay, so then I'm going to get me some clear tape, and I'm going to fix that. You could use a glue stick. Oh, no, I have a glue stick. Okay, so little mishap. Go down. Okay, so this guy comes all the way down. And there's my little mistake. Okay, so then the next one, I would make sure I do the same. This guy's supposed to stick out over here. So the next one, I want to weave just like I did the blue one. I'm going to fix this later because that's going to irritate me. It's going to keep moving until I'm finished. Okay, so the next one, this is actually over. So the next one will be under. So you're just going to alternate. And if you have little edges on here, they catch. And so I'm going to be nice and patient. I'm not going to get mad at this little piece. I'm just going to keep going because I know that it's going to work out. And I can always tape or glue or change it. Okay, so that's going to be over that guy. under this one. Okay, so there I've got my 3 colors. So your design will just kind of show up. It won't be what you expect necessarily, but it'll make all these cool shapes because of the way that you cut your warp. So you would just continue. And if it helps, if these are nice and packed in and you don't want them to keep moving around, you can glue the ends as you go, but then you can't really adjust them later. So this is the creative warp. So be thinking about, if you finished your first one, you're going to think about how you want to create your warp. And you can do it as simply as folding your paper in half, making sure you draw your line at the open side, and then cut all kinds of curvy, zigzag, creative lines that start at the fold and then they stop at the line. And then you cut from the fold to the straight line, and then you cut your weft pieces with whatever color you want. Okay? That is it.